Okay, so I'm going to tell you the story about how I got my dog. This is my dog, Riley. Forgive me, I'm not very good at telling stories. So, back when I was about 14 years old, I got my first job, and it was at this horse farm. And it was this little tiny old horse farm in the middle of nowhere. That's where I grew up. And it was where pretty much everyone in my family got their first job was at the farm. Like both my aunts did, my mother did. It was a family friend who owned the farm, so it was just like a rite of passage for me to have my first job there. And then so I worked there for about 4 years, and when I was 16 years old, I think, because I think either 15 or 16, but I think I just started driving on my own, so it must have been when I just turned 16. I went to work one day, and I was doing my first round. Basically, my only job was to feed and give water to all the horses. It was a very easy job, especially for someone who is only 14, 15 years old. And so I was doing my first round in one of the barns, and I heard this like whining noise, and I didn't know where it was coming from because it wasn't a horse. But I looked in all of the stalls and all of the barns, and I finally found it was this little litter of puppies. And there's only one horse, only one dog on the farm, and it's a Labrador Retriever, and those weren't lab puppies, so I didn't know where the dogs came from, but there was a huge litter of little Australian Shepherds. And it's funny because like the couple weeks prior to that, I had been begging my mom for a dog. And I'd been like researching all different types of dogs and what kind of dog I wanted to get, even though I knew my mom would never allow me to get another dog. And I found this Australian Shepherd breed, and it was like they're so cute and they're so fluffy, and I wanted one so bad. So it was almost like fate that I walked in to work one day, and all of a sudden there's this litter of Australian Shepherds at the farm that seemingly just appeared out of nowhere. And so I was like shocked. I was like, oh my God, they're so cute. I immediately wanted to play with all of them. They were like newborns. Like literally, they were born not 2 hours before I found them. And then, I didn't understand where they came from. But then my friend Mandy, who also worked there, walked in. She goes, oh, like you found the puppies. And they were her dogs. Both of her dogs had puppies, so there was a bunch of them just like laying around in the horse farm. She didn't know what to do with them, so she brought them to the farm. And so I helped her take care of them for I think you have to keep dogs for like 8 weeks before you can sell them. And so every day I'd come to work and I'd play with the puppies, I'd feed them, I'd wash them, I helped her give the shots to them and everything. I was there for every step of the way. I had one picked out that I loved the most. He was my favorite. He was so cute. I even named him, even though I knew I shouldn't have gone there. I shouldn't have named him because once you name something, you become attached to it and you can't give it up. And so when it came close to that time where she had to start looking for homes for all of them, I immediately knew I wanted one. So I asked my mom, and like I knew she would, she said no. We already have one dog, and we lived in a pretty small apartment, so I wasn't surprised that she told me no. But I really, really, really wanted this dog. And besides, like our other dog, he was getting really old, and he was really my mom's dog anyway. I wanted one of my own, so like I promised her that I would take care of him. I'd walk him every day. I'd play with him. I'd pay for everything. My mom said no. So I was heartbroken. So I had to go to work every day and just take care of them and hope that my mom will change her mind before she has to start selling them. Well, my mom wasn't budging. She was not going to change her mind. She was so struck on the idea of saying no more dogs. And I understood, but I was still wanted another dog. But it came close to that time and she started finding homes for all the puppies, and I was like, please, please just don't sell this one yet. Just don't sell this one. And because she was my friend, she was like, okay, I won't sell this dog yet, but I'm gonna need an answer because I can't hold on to him forever, hoping that your mom will say yes. So I was like, just hold out for like one more week. I'll get my mom to change her mind. And so my aunt helped me think up this plan where both my aunt and I know that my mom is very much in love with dogs, that she gets really attached to dogs really easily. So my aunt had the idea that if I just brought Riley home, Riley is the name that I picked out for the dog, if I just brought him home, my mom saw him, she would say yes. She wouldn't be able to say no. She would not be able to kick a dog out of her house. So I got Mandy to agree to just let me take him home basically on a trial run. And I brought him home, and as soon as my mom laid eyes on him, she felt instantly in love. And just like I knew she would. But we still had the problem of the landlord saying yes. Because originally, my landlord didn't want any dogs in the apartment. And she had been like that for years before we moved in. She had replaced everything in the apartment. Everything was brand new. She didn't want the carpet being ruined or anything. So she was very adamant about not allowing dogs. Well, I called her up because my mom's like, well, this is your dog. You're going to call her up and you're going to have to explain to her that you want to get another dog. So I called her up, and my immediate reaction was to cry, because who can say no to a crying girl? So I start crying. I'm like, I promise he won't ruin anything. And she was like, no, it's a puppy. Like, because when we got our other dog, he was a full-grown dog. We rescued him, and he was already potty trained and everything. She's like, no, this is a puppy. Like, I don't want a puppy ruining the apartment. You already have one dog. It's not that big of an apartment, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, I promise I'll train him really well. I'll take him to training classes immediately. I'll take care of everything. Don't worry, he won't ruin anything. After like 2 hours on the phone crying with her, she finally reluctantly agreed. So I was like ecstatic. I was so happy that I would get to bring my dog. Well, then I go back to work. I bring Riley back to work, and I tell her I get to keep him. I want to keep him. Well, what I didn't think about was how much everything was going to cost. Most of which I didn't think about is how much she would charge for the dog itself. Because I had no idea that puppies were so expensive, especially when you get them from a breeder, not rescue them. Which usually I do rescue dogs. Every other dog has been a rescue dog. And so I was like, oh shit. Like, I'm going to actually have to pay for the dog now. So she's like, oh, well, he's $500. And I was like, I don't have $500. Like, I work here. I get minimum wage. So I was like, I can't afford $500. Well, she made a deal with me because she's my friend. I got him for $250. She called us straight $250. And I saved up all my paychecks, and I just gave her the money, and I got to take him home. And I immediately went to the store. I bought him like a million toys, and even now he's got an abundance of toys. I can't help it. Every time I go to the store, I have to buy my dog a new toy. I can't help it. He's a spoiled dog. But I've never been happier with my dog. He's my best friend. He's the cutest little thing. And it was a lot of hoops to go through, and I had to cry my way out of it, but I eventually got the dog of my dreams. And that's pretty much it.